So if you've downloaded a transition from the store, thank you in the first place, the first thing that you want to do is to store it into somewhere safe. So as I've previously indicated, I keep all of my assets on an external SSD drive. Don't leave it on your desktop or in your downloads folder. Likelihood is it'll get sucked into iCloud and Ecamm will not know where to find it. So put your transition in wherever is your safe Ecamm folder. I'm then going to just put my transition between my guest 1 and guest 2 scene. So guest 1, guest 2. I'm just going to create myself a blank scene. And then I'm going to come and drop my movie in. Now, as soon as I drop it in, it's going to mute me. So I'm going to have to remember to unmute myself. So I've unmuted myself. Let's bring the movie sound level down a bit, just in case that was too annoyingly loud. And I'll play the movie again. So you'll see that they're sort of between 4 and 8 seconds long for the vast majority of the movies. And there's a slower transition already set by default in Ecamm Live. So if that's not set in your preferences, you may want to set that in your preferences to slower cross dissolve. Now at this point in time, I get the opportunity to potentially do things like add texts to this overlay if that's what I want to do. So I'm just going to add some text into this. And I'm just going to say next for want of better description, and pop that in to the middle of my scene. Now you don't have to do this, you can just run with the movie as is if you want, but I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to fly that in just for effect. So I'm going to move that flying in from the left, I think. And now that's part of my scene. I could also drop in a logo if I wanted to as well. So that's another option. Then what I want to do on this scene is if you click on the scene, you will get a little option down the bottom for what to do with the movie at the end of the movie, and you want it to go to next scene. But before you set that go to next scene, you might want to make a duplicate copy of this movie and put it somewhere else, because otherwise you're going to find it very difficult to make duplicates. You'll have to create a new one each time. So just bear that in mind. You might want to duplicate this scene and put it somewhere at the end of your sequence. So I'm going to click go to next scene for that, and then I'm going to go back to my 2 guests and have a look at what that looks like when I go through the transition. Yay! So it's as simple as that, really. And if I want to go back to that transition and try and do something with it, it will be quite difficult for me because I've set it to go to next scene at the end of the movie. But if I come back up to it, it's muted me there, so I've just unmuted myself. But what I've done is gone back up to that transition there and paused it. So if you're quick, you can pause these, but if some of them are very quick, so you have to be lightning on the keyboard or your mouse to pause it. But what I'm going to do here is change that asset for something else. So what I'll do is I'll get rid of this one and I will change it for another one. So in this particular case, I'm going to bring in a similar sort of movie, or something, a different flavor, I guess. So I just drag and dropped a different movie over that scene. That's as simple as that. So it kept the text, but let me drag and drop the new one over. So let's have a look at that in action. Me and me again. So you can get some pretty cool effects. I guess I'll just try one more, and yeah, let's just do one more. So I'm going to go back up to that scene, pause it, and then drag and drop the new movie into that transition area. So I've paused and unmuted that there, and all I'm going to do is drag a different transition into this scene so that we can see what it looks like, and we'll choose a totally different one this time, but I'll keep the text in there as next. So go and drag my new movie into the scene. Okay, well, so we'll go back and have a look at that one now, will we? So one guest, or one guest, but me plus a guest, and the latest transition that I've just dropped in. Now, that's the simple way of dropping in a transition, and they're very, very effective and can really add a lot of spice to your overall presentation. The other way you can do it is you can bring them in as animated overlays if you really want to. You will lose the sound, which is not necessarily a bad thing for some of these because the sound's not always that great. It's just what kind of came with the movie. So if you want to do that and add in your own sound, then you can certainly do that. If you bring it in as an animated overlay and cover the whole screen, then that is the best way to do that, and then set a countdown timer which becomes invisible. So maybe I ought to do another one on that in a little bit. Why would you want to do that? Well, you can start to play about with blend modes for the transitions as well, so that can always be a little bit of fun to sort of change the look and feel of the transition, or put a color frame over the top of it or something like that. So if you want to change the actual color of the transition, then you can play about with that as well. I guess you could even do that with the maybe you can with the movie. I'd have to have a think about that. But that's for another time. The simple way to use a transition is just set yourself a blank scene and drag and drop the movie in. Before you set it to advance to the next scene though, add in your text or your logos or whatever it is you want to add in. Okay, see you later. Cheerio.